Pablo Escobar, the notorious Colombian criminal and mafia head, held an iron grip over the underworld, but his rise to power was not a solo journey. His story is known by the whole world, but what happened to Pablo Escobar's deadliest hitmen and associates? These equally intimidating people made sure that Escobar was feared and obeyed throughout the continent. Where did his right-hand men end up after his horrible demise? Let's find out. Number 1. John Jairo Velasquez. John Jairo Velasquez Vasquez is often referred to as Popeye. It was his physical likeness to the renowned cartoon character that gave him this nickname. However, this fearless criminal eventually underwent surgery to correct the projecting chin. There are reports concerning the origin of the moniker, some stating it stemmed from his showy stroll around the streets of his hometown in a bright naval outfit. Popeye's path to notoriety began at the age of 18, when he joined the Colombian Armed Forces and Police Forces, where he gained crucial training and polished his talents. Popeye's first interaction with Pablo Escobar was through a buddy, and soon after their fates got intertwined, prompting Popeye to become one of Escobar's most notorious hitmen. His personal admissions are chilling. He took over 300 lives in high-profile kidnappings, including future Colombian presidents and vice presidents, and even took the life of Escobar's former girlfriend. Popeye's ascension to fame was marred by bloodshed and a relentless desire for power. Surprisingly, Popeye compared his existence as a hitman to a typical day at the workplace. He said that his job came easily to him and that he definitely did not require narcotics or alcohol to inspire or numb him. He admitted to organizing operations that took the lives of over 3,000 people, including masterminding horrific car bomb strikes that devastated Colombian neighborhoods. Popeye found himself in a perilous situation as Escobar's empire succumbed to rising pressure. After thinking with a cool mind, he surrendered to Colombian police and was imprisoned from 1992 until 2014 on various charges, including narcotics trafficking, extortion, terrorism, and criminal conspiracy allegations. Popeye earned a reputation inside the prison for his hilarious storytelling, which captivated fellow convicts. He was freed in August 2014 after serving 23 years in prison, but he preferred to keep a low profile out of fear of vengeance from his former companions and the fury of his victims' families. Nonetheless, his independence was cut short. Popeye was arrested again in 2018, this time for conspiracy and extortion. However, he passed away from esophageal cancer while still confined behind bars in February 2020. Prior to his arrest, Popeye had built a booming YouTube channel named Repentant with over 1 million subscribers. He frequently screamed about government corruption and ineptitude in his videos. He also wrote a book regarding his experiences in prison, which inspired the Netflix series Surviving Escobar. Popeye is still controversial. Some see him as merely a PR rep for Escobar rather than an actual hitman, while others doubt his sincerity. Popeye repeatedly transferred blame to Escobar, refusing to accept responsibility for the lives he took. Number 2. John Jairo Arias Tascon. John Jairo Arias Tascon, also known as Penina, was a prominent member of the Medellin cartel who left a path of bloodshed in his wake. Penina's childhood was characterized by a life of crime because he was born into poverty. He became involved in the world of thievery as a kid in the Medellin commune, refining his talents as a juvenile burglar by the age of 12. It wasn't long until he joined a gang, finally becoming a hitman at the age of 15 years old. According to reports, Penina's fate became intertwined with Pablo Escobar's, the legendary leader of the criminal syndicate, after Penina broke into one of Escobar's automobiles and stole a music player. Escobar recognized the potential in Penina and recruited him into the Medellin cartel after being impressed by his daring and ingenuity. Penina quickly ascended through the ranks of the cartel thanks to his intimate understanding of the Medellin commune and its residents. His ability to attract others to commit crimes for pay made him a valued asset. In reality, it was Penina who oversaw the Medellin cartel's first assassination, the shooting of Rodrigo Lara, a prominent man who posed a threat to the cartel's activities. Penina was deeply involved in the illicit operations of the cartel. He had a crucial role in taking the lives of Rodrigo Lara and Guillermo Cano Izaza, directors of El Espectador, a news outlet. He was involved in the explosion of the El Espectador building, the death of Police Colonel Jaime Ramírez Gómez, the kidnapping and death of Carlos Mauro Hoyos, the assault of Antioquia Governor Antonio Roldan Betancourt, and several other violent crimes. Penina's reign of terror, however, came to an abrupt end on June 13, 1990. Penina attempted to escape via a window during a police raid on his residence in Medellin's El Poblado neighborhood, but landed with severe injuries to his ankle, head, and right arm. He tried his very best to make his way to his car, disoriented but resolute, only to be met by law enforcement authorities. When he was forced to withdraw back into his apartment building, he got into a gunfight with the cops, which led to his death. At the time of his death, Penina was just 29 years old. After Penina's demise, a turning point for the Medellin cartel started as it started to fall apart and become weak. Number 3. Dandini Mosquera. Dandini Muoz Mosquera, alias La Kika, was more than simply an influential figure in Colombia's Medellin cartel. He was an infamous sicario, a hired assassin responsible for the cartel's most heinous atrocities. Muoz Mosquera was born in Medellin on August 27, 1966. And his upbringing appeared worlds apart from the gloomy road he would ultimately take. His father was a policeman, and his mother was an evangelist, so he grew up with a spiritual foundation. The temptation of the Medellin cartel, however, was too powerful for young Muoz Mosquera to resist. At the young age of 12 in 1978, he was persuaded into the gang by his brother Brantz, who bore a striking likeness to the legendary boxer Mike Tyson and was nicknamed Tyson. Muoz Mosquera's nickname, La Kika, came from his similarity to his great-aunt as a youngster and the Colombian slang word for the fat girl. Muoz Mosquera's connection with the Medellin cartel developed as he grew older. He rose to become one of Pablo Escobar's most trusted and powerful enforcers. While tales about his early life differ, Muoz Mosquera claimed to have served in the Colombian army as a youngster before leaving it in 1986. He also recalled being imprisoned on many occasions for minor theft offenses. Muoz Mosquera's popularity peaked in 1989 when he was named as a key planner in the deaths of Luis Carlos Galen, the founder of New Liberalism and a presidential contender. Galen was slain by an unnamed shooter during a campaign address in Soacha. Muoz Mosquera was imprisoned in Bogotá after his capture, but he escaped in April 1990 after making large payments. Muoz Mosquera's criminal record grew longer and longer. However, Muoz Mosquera's reign of terror ended when he was apprehended once more, this time in the United States. He was detained in New York in September 1993 after being discovered to be traveling with a forged passport. He was the first man to be convicted under 1956 federal legislation that criminalized bombing civilian aircraft and a 1986 terrorism statute that permitted foreign people to be tried in the United States if at least one victim was an American citizen. Muoz Mosquera committed many heinous crimes. Among his most terrible deeds was the bombing of Avianca Flight 203 in 1989, which took the lives of 110 passengers. He still remains incarcerated in the United States, facing numerous life terms for his evil deeds. Number 4. Carlos Mario. Carlos Mario Alzate Urquijo, also known as El Arete, was a Colombian criminal and former hitman with the Medellin cartel's Los Extraditable leadership. Alzate, who was born on September 26, 1961, in Medellin, was a close companion of the legendary criminal Pablo Escobar, establishing a reputation as one of his most devoted followers. Alzate had a long history with the Escobar family. His mother, Catalina Urquijo, was married to Pablo Escobar's brother, Roberto Escobar Gaviria. This familial connection strengthened his prominence inside the cartel's ranks. Alzate made headlines during his criminal career for his involvement in multiple high-profile acts of violence. The attack on an Avianca jet on November 27, 1989, was one of the most prominent cases related to Alzate. He was one of the key figures involved in making all preparations for carrying out an attack on Colombian Liberal Party leader Cesar Gaviria Trujillo. Alzate was also linked to the Lioli theater attack and many other violent crimes. These violent crimes highlighted the Medellin cartel's merciless tactics under Escobar's supervision. Alzate, also known as El Arete, was a member of the cartel's Hitmen gang, led by John Jairo Arias, also known as Penina. He collaborated with other notable hitmen such as Dandanis Muoz Mosquera, alias La Kika, John Jairo Velasquez, alias Popeye, and Brancis Muoz, also known as Tyson. This organization was involved in a number of targeted assaults in Colombia, including those of police personnel. Alzate agreed to surrender to authorities on February 17, 1993 in Medellin, under increasing pressure from the Los Pepes organization and the Colombian government's search bloc. He was first housed at Itagu National Penitentiary's maximum security wing. Later on, he was transported to the La Picota jail in Bogotá, where he began discussions with the Attorney General's office. During these conversations, Alzate confessed to his crimes and claimed responsibility for the 1989 Avianca jet bombing and his participation in various attacks that took 49 additional lives. This cooperation with Colombia's criminal system was intended to win judicial rewards and lower his potential punishment. His evidence on the Avianca assault, however, was not recognized by U.S. judges in the case against La Kika, the individual eventually convicted for the attack. Alzate was freed from jail on November 27, 2001. However, after leaving the prison center, he was shot twice in the neck by an unknown hitman, but survived the attempt on his life. Authorities provided him with security and anonymity to ensure his safety. According to sources, Alzate took on a new name and traveled to Barcelona, Spain, where he now lives. Number 5. Álvaro de Gess. De Gess Agudelo, also known as El Limón, was a legendary Colombian gangster, hitman, and loyal bodyguard for the Medellin cartel. He was well known for his involvement in bribery and extortion, and he played an important role in ensuring the cartels, as well as Pablo Escobar's interests, were protected. He was in charge of recruiting troops to secure the cartel's stronghold, La Catedral, as well as guaranteeing their well-being by providing needed supplies, educational materials, and financial support for their families. Originally a faithful companion of Roberto Escobar, alias El Osito, and brother of the narcotics kingpin Pablo Escobar, Agudelo's loyalties turned when Roberto faced his second trial with John Jairo Velasquez, commonly known as Popeye, and Otoniel de Gess Gonzalez Franco, also known as Otto. Agudelo progressed from serving Roberto to becoming Pablo Escobar's devoted servant. Agudelo remained by Pablo Escobar's side as one of his most loyal confidants during the final 8 months of his life. While many others chose to side with Los Pepes and were dismissed, captured, or surrendered to the police, Agudelo remained steadfastly faithful to his employer until the end. However, the very same thing happened that he had feared. On December 2, 1993, only one day after Escobar's 44th birthday, units from the search team approached the Los Olivos neighborhood where Agudelo was hiding alongside his employer, hot on the trail after Escobar made a phone call to his son Juan Pablo. They approached the home with speed and force, breaking down the door. In a courageous endeavor to defend Pablo Escobar, Agudelo opened fire on the search team, exhibiting everlasting commitment. However, caught in the crossfire of a brief but furious clash, Agudelo died in battle with the uniformed soldiers. The demise of Álvaro de Gess Agudelo marked the end of an era defined by the ruthlessness and power of the Medellin cartel. Number 6. Juan Carlos Aguilar Gallego. Luis Carlos Aguilar Gallego, known by many names such as El Mugre, Tobas, Jerry, Sesenta, and Carochocao, is a Colombian criminal and former hitman linked to the Medellin cartel. Aguilar Gallego, born on October 2, 1950, in La Estrella, Antioquia, played an important role as one of Pablo Escobar's closest hitmen and narcotics smugglers. Aguilar Gallego was a member of an exclusive group of hitmen close to Escobar inside the Medellin cartel. Colombian officials charged Aguilar Gallego in 1988 with acquiring an airplane to transfer 3,000 kilograms of illegal substances to the United States. He was also linked to the deaths of Carlos Mauro Hoyos Jimenez, the Attorney General of the nation, on January 25th of the same year. Aguilar Gallego, a major member of the Medellin cartel's hitmen organization, was implicated in a series of targeted deaths of Colombian national police officers in Antioquia's Valle de Aburrá region. Escobar promised a 2 million Colombian peso bounty for each officer's life taken. On June 19, 1991, Aguilar Gallego surrendered to Colombian police for the first time, together with Escobar, Popeye, and Otto, with the purpose of being imprisoned at La Catedral jail. However, on October 15, 1992, he handed himself in again. Aguilar Gallego was part of the historic escape from La Catedral jail on July 21 and 22, 1992, which was coordinated by members of the Medellin cartel, including Escobar himself. Aguilar Gallego has been living in hiding since then, escaping capture by Colombian police, who are still looking for him for his role in crimes perpetrated on behalf of the Medellin cartel. Authorities are also looking into his suspected involvement in the narco-terrorist attack on an Avianca airline jet, which took the lives of 110 people, as well as the bus bomb attempt on the DAS headquarters in Bogotá. According to media sources quoting Colombian police, Aguilar Gallego was living in Spain under a false name, posing as a priest, and running a church in the town of Murcia in 2017. Number 7. Jaime Rueda. Jaime Eduardo Rueda Rocha, born February 23, 1956, was a Colombian criminal whose name became linked with one of the country's most heinous political crimes. Rueda Rocha, noted for his coldness, aggression, and cruelty, was born into a poor peasant family. However, he made his way into the world of illegal armed organizations when he was just a child. Rueda Rocha began her career with the 11th Front of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. He eventually defected and achieved popularity as the leader of a gang known as Los Negritos. During this period, he met Gonzalo Rodriguez Gacha, a notable person involved with the Medellin cartel. Rodriguez Gacha, impressed by Rueda Rocha's abilities, enrolled him in an elite group that got high-level paramilitary training from Israeli mercenaries, such as Yair Klein. Jaime Eduardo Rueda Rocha was tasked in 1989 with leading the first attack against General Miguel Maza Marquez and politician Luis Carlos Galán. Rueda Rocha was present during several important meetings with Pablo Escobar. Through Jacobo Torregrosa, a retired police officer, they infiltrated Galán's security unit. The plan called for 3 groups of 5 hitmen equipped with submachine guns and rifles to be formed. They positioned themselves in Soacha's main square, and when Galán entered the platform on August 18, 1989, Rueda Rocha fired his Ingram Model 380 machine pistol, taking the life of the presidential candidate. Rueda Rocha was caught a month after the incident, along with his half-brother, Ever Rueda Silva, and the Chavez brothers, Jaime and Enrique. On September 18, 1990, Rueda Rocha succeeded in escaping from La Picota prison. He went to the Magdalena Medio area and established his own paramilitary force of 150 armed men. Rueda Rocha perpetrated another horrible deed in March 1992, taking the life of Puerto Boyaca's mayor Gustavo Londu and 4 others. Based on an informant's tip, a squad of 10 men from the National Police's Special Operations Group eventually identified Rueda Rocha. After a night of partying, Rueda Rocha and his bodyguards arrived at La Variante restaurant in the early hours of April 23, 1992. As they were about to place their order, a pickup truck came to a complete stop in front of the restaurant, and then GO's agents sprang out. "Hold down, police," the agents yelled. But Rueda Rocha and his associates reacted with gunfire. The fight lasted 30 minutes and claimed the life of police agent Juan Castro. Rueda Rocha passed away on the spot as he was shot while attempting to flee by hopping over a wire fence into a meadow. Number 8. Mario Alberto Castao Molina. Mario Alberto Castao Molina, alias El Chopo, was a notable Colombian hitman, terrorist, and narcotics trafficker who was a significant member of the deadly Medellin cartel. Castao, known for his strong commitment to Pablo Escobar, served as Escobar's principal security chief, cementing his status as one of the cartel's most trusted and prominent members. Prior to his involvement with the cartel, Castao worked as a hotel server in Medellin, where he met Escobar himself. The early meetings forged a bond between the two, leading to Castao's induction into the cartel's ranks. Originally known as El Tartamudo, which means the stutterer, Castao Molina became linked to the crimes with that moniker. However, due to his actions, Escobar renamed him El Chopo, a word alluding to a weapon often used in Medellin neighborhoods. El Chapo got intense training within the cartel and eventually rose to become the military head, earning him the moniker the King of Bandits, according to Pablo Escobar himself. Castao's reign of terror, however, came to an end when Juan Carlos Londu, another important figure within the cartel, was captured and forced to reveal El Chapo's whereabouts to the police. On March 19, 1993, a hooded informant, subsequently discovered to be Juan Caca, conducted an operation in a 20-story building where Castao lived. The elite search block force, led by Juan Caca, invaded the flat on the 20th floor quickly but quietly at the same time. Castao, who was caught off guard, attempted to protect himself by taking a handgun from a nearby table and starting to fire bullets in the direction of the intruders while lying on his bed. However, his aim was unsuccessful, and the agents responded with a torrent of bullets, finally taking the life of El Chapo, according to reports. What happened to Mario Alberto Castao Molina signaled the end of the Medellin cartel's final military head, representing a severe blow to the cartel's power structure and reign of terror. Number 9. Hernan Dario Henao. Hernan Dario Henao Quintero, better known by his moniker HH, was a key member of the notorious Medellin cartel's military command. He was not just in control of the cartel's operations, but was also in control of its finances. One of the most important things is that he also controlled the famed Hacienda Napoles, which was a luxurious estate built by Pablo Escobar since the early 1980s. HH's relationship with Pablo Escobar began in 1979, when he introduced himself to Escobar during a wedding anniversary party for Pablo and Mara Victoria Henao Vallejo. Because of his previous relationship with the family, HH quickly became a member of Escobar's inner circle. HH became a figurehead, effectively commanding the Medellin cartel's laboratory in Magdalena Medio. Several heinous actions were carried out under his supervision, under the direction of HH and Pablo Escobar. Enrique Lo Murtra, the previous justice minister who had vigorously pursued measures against the cartel and lobbied for Colombian extradition to the United States, was slain outside the University of La Salle on April 30, 1991. In addition, on July 20, 1991, Henry Perez, a paramilitary leader who had earlier revealed Pablo Escobar's location to police, was taken out on HH and Escobar's instructions. HH recruited the aliases Pachito and Raton to carry out the heinous crime during the Virgin del Carmen festival. Pachito and Raton were also taken down in the subsequent raid. In 2 instances, HH was apprehended. On April 17, 1987, at Puerto Triunfo, he was detained while carrying identification bearing the name Luis Carlos Ramrez Solorzano. Remarkably, HH was released on June 8, 1987, as authorities, allegedly bribed with a sum of $50,000, deemed him an inconsequential detainee unrelated to Avion and 24. The second capture took place on July 7, 1990, during an operation at Hacienda Napoles. Escobar and his lieutenants escaped capture, but HH and several others were caught. However, on July 25, 1990, HH's freedom was given back as a result of a series of bribes coordinated by Daniel Montero Carvajal, also known as Danielito, to corrupt authorities. As the fight between the Medellin cartel and its opponents heated up, the establishment of Los Pepes in 1992 constituted a serious danger. In early 1993, Los Pepes successfully abducted a guy named Amarillo, a Medellin inhabitant who finally revealed the whereabouts of Murillo, one of HH's most trusted confidants. Number 10. Gustavo Gaviria. Gustavo de Jes Gaviria Rivero, born on December 25, 1946, was Pablo Escobar's right-hand man, and he was one of the most influential members of the renowned Medellin cartel. When he was a young boy, he used to steal tires from cars and rob cinema box offices. He even stole headstones from graveyards and held them for ransom. This habit of stealing did not go away. It only got worse. Eventually, he graduated from kidnapping gravestones to kidnapping real, alive people. In one case, an industrialist whom he held for ransom. Operating only in the shadow of Escobar, Gaviria was in charge of the cartel's finances and trading channels, playing an extremely critical role in their decades-long illegal business. Despite his money and leadership of his own military machinery, Gaviria deliberately kept a low profile, preferring to remain out of the public glare. This intended obscurity allowed him to operate discreetly, insulating him from the same kind of popularity that Escobar experienced. However, his importance to the cartel's activities cannot be overstated. Gaviria's life was cut short on August 11, 1990, due to unknown reasons. According to speculation, he was injured and subsequently passed away during an operation planned by the Search Block, which is a specialized Colombian task group devoted to apprehending Escobar and dismantling the Medellin cartel. Some think that this was purposefully suppressed in order to prevent punishment from Escobar and his faithful supporters. This operation by the Search Block had a severe effect on Escobar, who considered his cousin not just a valued partner, but also a cherished family member. Escobar, however, decided not to attend Gustavo's burial in person, instead listening to the funeral service via a radio skillfully tied to the presiding priest. This unusual choice demonstrates Escobar's precarious balance between mourning his cousin's loss and preserving his own safety. After Gustavo passed away, Escobar made a critical decision. He surrendered to the police. He did, however, stage his surrender in an unusual way, building La Catedral, a jail of his own design, where he would be guarded by his own faithful gunmen. The timing of Gustavo's passing, which occurred just 4 days after President Cesar Gaviria took office, raised some serious concerns. At the time, the popular view was that the president had launched an aggressive attack against the narco-terrorists, which fueled Escobar's determination to retaliate and destabilize the new administration.